McDude here, and today we join Jebediah Kerman at the site of the crashed Ares 5 spacecraft. Mission Control has ordered Jeb to go on EVA and check out the health of the capsule, largely because I forgot how I built the thing. I see I have a capsule, an SAS ring. I'm sorry, a decoupler ring, SAS ring, and an RCS ring. I have two thruster blocks attached on this side, and I'm pretty sure, I would have put four on, but I need to see if any broke off. So I'm going to have Jeb bring the light around to the other side, to the dark side of the capsule. Of course, he runs into the capsule because it's getting late. Pardon me, the sun is setting. And I can tell we have four RCS blocks. So none of the RCS blocks broke off. And that's important. You see the sun setting off in the distance, along with the broken off landing gear from the lander, defying physics there, half of them sticking up in the air. Or maybe they're just stuck in the sand, I don't know. But we bring Jeb around. And confirm, yeah, four RCS blocks. Everything's still on. Even got a parachute. We use the jetpack to get back up. I gotta be careful how I orientate the camera here because the Kerbals only want to walk the opposite direction of the viewer. So here we go. And we'll take a look at how much RCS fuel we've got. We've got 54% monopropellant. Probably not enough to get into orbit, but maybe a rendezvous could be possible. So the plan here is to first right the capsule using the monopropellant and then try a launch that could either get us into orbit or get us in orbit long enough to make a rendezvous with another ship. So the first thing to do is to figure out how to right the craft. I'm expecting a little bit of a learning curve here, so we're going to run some computer simulations, which is just a fancy way of saying I'm going to hit F5 and F9 a lot. But as you can see, using the RCS to try to right the ship is trickier than I thought it would be. The problem being that every time the spacecraft rolls over, it changes which button I have to press to get it right. Plus, it doesn't. It also doesn't require a lot of pressing. It doesn't. You really just have to finesse the keys to get just enough power, just enough pressure, pardon me, off the nozzles to ride it. But I'm always pressing the wrong button. Before you know it, I'm flipping around like a fish out of water. Like I've just been hauled up into the boat or something. But I figure I'll go in and I'll test it a little bit. And if something breaks off or blows up, I'll just hit F9 again. You notice I actually wasted 10% of the fuel just trying to right the thing, which is why I have to rely on those things. Unfortunately, during one of my autosaves, or one of my saves, I wasted 2% of the fuel. I'm going to need every little bit to get out of this. So we start off, I hit the wrong button. That could have worked, actually, if it been oriented right. I just open up a new, yeah, F9 again. And in each case, this time, I'm just hitting it, just finessing the key, and then let it do its thing before I press the key again. Let it finish before I hit the next one. Because otherwise I end up in this situation where, well, that I'm right now, where I'm flipping around again, because I don't know which button I'm pressing, which button to press in order to get it to stand up. So I load it one more time, and this time I think I know which one to press. It's oriented to the spaceship. You hit it lightly, and then you let the ship roll around and do what it wants. Once you settle in, I don't recall if it's H or not, or N, but you just hit one of those, and you're off. And we have liftoff on Monopropellant, heading into space. And as you can imagine, I'm kind of excited here. I mean, we've already covered 200, almost 300 meters just on Monopropellant flight alone. Well, running out of fuel fast. And I had briefly forgotten, looking at how I have 2,200 meters of flight, that 1,900 meters of that was ground elevation. Another thing I didn't know was, even though my finger is still holding the RCS button, if I go to map mode, RCS switches off. So I started losing altitude. And the craft is drifting because I have SAS turned off. And here's where I make my mistake in flight. I try adjusting to get us back up. I try adjusting the flight path with the RCS, and it just moves too fast. It's hard to finesse it. And then I start losing altitude. But I'd almost gone 1,000 meters up on 30 units of monopropellant, or 25 units of monopropellant. So I had done pretty good, but it was rather obvious I wasn't going to make it into orbit on that. And I probably wasn't going to pull off a soft landing either. So we F9 our way out of that. Start over again. See if it's possible to do this any more efficiently. I probably should have done a quick save right after I write it last time, but I get it up. Again, you just give it the slightest finesse. And unfortunately, it's sitting on a rock, so it wants to fall over. So again, just in the name of fuel efficiency, I go and I start up again. I want to see how far up I can make it on RCS. Largely as a test for the viewer than anything else. Of course, I hit the wrong button. Let it stop spinning. Do just a little bit of thrust, a little bit back that way, back the other. Up, we're dancing again. And we are finally righted. And we didn't waste too much. We're standing straight. So I decided to go ahead and save it on half a tank of fuel used, with the idea that I'm just not going to ride it on less than 2%. So I can do all my tests from a standing position. And here we go. Liftoff on monopropellant. And cruise to altitude pretty smoothly. But every time I go to that map, RCS cuts off. And meanwhile, I'm down to 36% monopropellant and only 2,600 meters of altitude. And there's really no time to orient this map. (3,000 meters). There's really no time to orient this map and without losing appreciable thrust and thereby losing a bunch of altitude and having your course thrown off by the fact the thing just naturally drifts. And I didn't want to use SAS because I just would have used yet more monopropellant. Besides, I don't think it would have fired while I was manually thrusting the monopropellant. So after losing all that altitude, you figure with an APAPS is about 3,000 and roughly 25 units of monopropellant left, I probably would have gotten to a maximum altitude of about 4,000 meters before I ran out of fuel. This would leave very little time for a rendezvous with a rescue ship, which means that I'm going to have to bring a rescue ship down to the surface. That said, RCS launches from the surface of the Mun are possible, but you only get to orbit if you have enough RCS fuel. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, light up that like button and please subscribe.